Hello, everybody. I'm here today at Lifehouse Church with Shaun and Crystal Cummings, and I'm so excited that we get to have another dual spotlight with these guys. So I'm just going to ask you guys some questions about yourselves. So can you all tell me just a little bit about yourselves and how you got involved in worship music and worship ministry in general?
Me go first. Well, I kind of struggled with what I was going to do in ministry there for a long time. Growing up, I was a preacher's kid, and so
Me too.
so I was like, I can remember being 11, 12-year-old writing songs, but I didn't play any instruments, nor did I really sing. But I just kind of had the passion to do that, I guess. As far as getting into worship leading, that took me a while to get to. Like I said, I struggled for a while through college and things like that. I was trying to figure it out. I knew I was called to ministry, just didn't know exactly what. I knew I had a passion for music, but I didn't know how to do music. And then we went to a passion conference. We got married when we were 20. We went to a passion conference, so we were still in that age group because we were still in college. So we went to a passion conference, and I remember being there, and we heard David Crowder sing a song called "You Are My Joy." And I can remember it was during that song that I felt like God was telling me that this is the type of thing I need to be involved with, leading worship. And being that I was raised in traditional churches a lot of times, this was kind of the first time I'd been exposed to something like that.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it was like, that's what I've been yearning for all this time. And so then all of a sudden this passion I had for writing words, I was able to put to music. It was right after I went to that passion conference, I went home and I went and got a guitar at the pawn shop, and I knew 4 chords. And it was weird because my dad, being a pastor, he actually took an interim job that same week, and immediately we were asked to come and lead worship that week, and I literally just got it. And I'm like, so Crystal, we got to do all these songs, we got to do them in this key with these 4 chords.
Because these are the ones I know.
Yeah, and that's where it started, and that's where God kind of started to develop us as worship leaders, and that's the first exposure that we had to it.
That's awesome. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, I've been singing like my whole life pretty much. I grew up in a really traditional church as well. We sang, and we had like a quintet. I guess there was 5 of us girls. We sang everything in 5-part harmony.
Wow.
We've gone a long way from then. But anyway, like you said, when we went to that Passion 07, it was just really eye-opening for both of us. I'd never been like in a worship experience like that, and just to feel like the freedom to be able to like worship and raise your hands if you feel like whatever the Lord leads you to do. It was just a really emotional time, just to be able to feel that freedom to worship God as He lays on your heart to do so. So that was really cool.
I had a very similar experience myself in college at a Teen Mania event. But anyway, I totally track with you that when you've had just this one style for so long and you have something else that seems so different, it really can be very moving and impactful on your life. Well, I mean, that might be yours, but do you have a specific worship experience that, besides that one, that you can say, oh, that was one of my favorite times, in worship?
Honestly, we did, just a few weeks ago, we did a one church gathering here at Lifehouse, and invited several different churches to come. We had worship leaders from, I believe, 6 different churches here that all led together, and that was just so awesome. I mean, just being able to lead with different people. We're in a band, but being able to lead with different people and just see, the different styles and the different denominations and how we just all mesh together. And it doesn't really matter, when it all comes together, because you're all worshiping the same God. You're all worshiping Jesus, and that's, what's most important. And the Spirit just moved in a great way, and it was just really, really cool.
I was at a wedding. I really wanted to be here for that.
Well, there'll be more.
Good.
Hopefully.
Excellent. Well, can you tell me if either of you see any trends sort of in the worship world? I'm just curious if you have noticed that, or if you think there should be some.
I think that a trend that I'm seeing, and also one that I hope we see more of, is just this idea of writing original things and developing. It does. We don't. These worship teams that play at these huge churches that give us these great songs, they are great songs. But I think it's important that we as worship leaders, we focus on our congregations as well. And we look at them, and we try, if we have that in us, to write songs, do our very best to write songs that are poignant to our group of believers. And so it's something I've tried to do and am trying to do more of, but I think that's a unique trend that I think would be great for our area, writing songs for this community, writing songs for our churches,
Yes.
as opposed to always just leading songs that other churches wrote, which are, like I said, a lot of times they apply to us, and a lot of times they're really great. But it'd be cool too just to see more of that original come out of these churches.
I agree,
Yeah.
and I think that's definitely a goal of the SOKY worship community, is to foster that very thing, which makes me excited hearing you say that.
Yeah.
Years ago, I had a pastor's wife tell me that we had a baby dedication coming up in our church, and that I needed to find a song. And I was like, I don't think I know any. And she said, well, write one then. And I was like, write one? And then I did. I ended up writing a song just for that couple, for their child, and they recorded it and like printed out the words. And I actually wrote one for their second child when he was dedicated as well. So, you know, that's something really unique and special for them, too.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more personal, and it makes it more meaningful, I think, too, as opposed to you just singing something someone else wrote.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Doing things that we can help relate to our churches and to our people more.
Mm-hmm. Sure. What about you?
I definitely agree with that. I think, you know, God puts within each of us a different message, sort of. I feel like each of us have our own calling and our own message that God has given us to share with the world. And I think it's definitely important that we are using those to reach the congregations that we're in, the community that we're in, may be very different than what somebody in North Carolina doing or California.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously using those sporadically through is great as well. I know we're really careful to make sure that we don't use our worship gatherings as like a platform to promote ourselves. But at the same time, if God has given us a message, we shouldn't hold that back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a great way to look at it, too. I like that a lot. I just want to know what your favorite song is right now to use with your congregation.
Go first.
I think mine would probably be "No Longer Slaves" by Beth Light. I love that song. I think, you know, growing up, a lot of times fear is something I've dealt with. I think a lot of us deal with, and just being able to say, you know, that you're no longer a slave to fear, and to proclaim that you're a child of God. And
So
no matter
powerful.
what the world throws at you, know you're a child of God. No matter what the world says about you, it's not true, because you're a child of God, and that's ultimately over everything. You know, that's what really matters. And so I just love that song.
Yeah.
I love leading that song.
That's awesome. What about you?
For me, right now, of course, it always changes because you go through
Yes.
seasons of life. So I've had several different, but right now, I'd say one that I really love is a song called "Resurrecting" by Elevation. It just came out, and the reason I think that it resonates with me is because here in the life of our church, we've been talking about revival, and this is a song we introduced on Easter, and right to coincide with us praying and asking God for revival. And for me, it just struck a chord, you know, that our resurrected King is resurrecting me, is what the song says, and that's what was happening in me. That's what was happening in me when we started to lead that song. That there was a revival stirring inside of me. We were singing that song, and that's what we were singing. So that's why it resonates with me. I think it resonated with our people too, and so for right now, that's what I would go with.
It'll
That's what I go
change.
with.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time today, and I can't wait to introduce you guys to our community. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.